All right. Hmm. 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 Whoa, am I actually... Whoa, am I actually streaming right now? Whoa. So, hey guys. Whoa, am I actually... I'm gonna be seeing if I can name 100 different... no, not 100, 500 different cities on this little website called cityquiz.io. It's a pretty cool website. It's insanely addicting, I'll have you know. And I've just been running through these different maps all the time. Uh, and yeah. So let me just get the chat working. Let me just get the chat working. And then we have the chat here. So I'll say hello, chat. And I'll just see if that works. Yes, it does work. I'm very happy that it works. Let me just open up another tab with the video on it. I've never done this before, by the way. I'm completely new to this shit. This is probably only 2 watching. 1 watching. Oh, shit. All right, let's see. So I'll say hello. Let's see how it goes. Why did the chat? Okay. I'm just going to advertise it on these servers. Never mind. And let's do it. Let's just servers. I guess I can't keep this open because of the reverb. So what should I do? I guess I'll just do it. I don't know how to track the number of viewers, though. Right? That sucks. That does suck. Shit. How do I track that? How do I fucking track that shit? Because I like seeing how many people are on. I guess I'll just check in from time to time. But, okay, let's see what's going on. And I'll just refresh it from time to time. I guess I'll just go to my channel. Ignore what I like on YouTube. Okay, I see there are 3 people watching. Let's just get it started. Let's just clear my previous save file. You can see I've been practicing in the Northern Balkans. And let's go from west to east. So it's really starting now. Big game starting. Okay. And I have rules set for myself. So for example, instead of setting every city for every country, so for example, if I typed in Brest, um, that would, with any country, that would just get Brest in Belarus, which I was surprised to learn existed at first, instead of the Brest in France. But if you type in every country with Brest, you'll get all these different breasts. Now that's sort of cheating because I want to just name specific places, right? You can understand the logic behind that, right? So let's clear this. And I'm not going to be looking at any maps, and don't try to give me any hints, right? In the chat. And let's do this. Let's do this. 4 people watching. All right. I hope I'm going to be entertaining. Now let's start. Okay. So first, Iberian Peninsula. Very fun. I've been practicing this pretty routinely in the past few days. Let's see. All right, let's start with Portugal. Now, we're not even going to start with mainland Europe. We're going to start with one of the most interesting cities in Europe, which is not even in Europe, 100,000 man city off of Europe. Isn't that crazy? All right, now let's start with. Now, I think that's the only one I know there's a Santa Cruz de Palma in, I think the Canary Islands belonging to Spain, but that doesn't work. I've tried that many times, and even though I think that's the real name, sometimes cityquiz.io doesn't register it like that. But let's just go with mainland Portugal. Okay, right off the bat, we got Lisbon, Porto, and other major cities. Coimbra, very historical city. These are like the main Portuguese cities everyone knows, right? Now we're getting to more obscure cities, right? I can't name as many in Portugal as I'd like to, but, you got some fun ones. Porto Alegre, which basically, it's easy to remember because, Portugal, Porto Alegre, share the same name, sort of. Now, the southern coast is pretty interesting. It has a place called Faro, and, of course, that must be because that's probably derived from the Pharos lighthouse in Egypt, which, the name of which got transferred to a bunch of Romance languages, like French and obviously Portuguese. So Faro. And then Sagres is like the southwesternmost point in Portugal. Pretty cool. Sagres. There's also Lagos, like Lagos, Nigeria, in between them. Pretty interesting. There's also a place called Setúbal in the suburbs of Lisbon. Pretty interesting. That sort of reminds me of like a name for an ancient Maya city in the middle of the jungle, right? I remember hearing Maya names really similar to that. And obviously there's no connection. Of course, it's Portugal, it's not Spain. But, yeah. What other cities in Portugal can we name? I know there's a Villarreal, but if you type in Villarreal, here's what it does. Villarreal in Spain. So you got to do it like, and then there's another Villarreal in Spain. Portugal. I know there's a Villarreal in Portugal. Villarreal, Portugal. Yeah, see, in the north. Pretty cool. Near the Cantabrian Mountains. What a cool name. Cantabrian Mountains. Unfortunately, there is... Oh, voice crack. Unfortunately, there is no place in Portugal called Cantabria, right? Which is the same. Now let's go to northwestern Spain. That little bit of the western coast that Portugal did not take, unfortunately. It's, I'm sure all the cartographers in the world would be happy if Portugal just annexed this little bit of Spain. But it has some cool cities. Vigo, also by some other names. A Coruna, very interesting name. And then we got Asturias right here. We got some cities, some nice cities over here, like Oviedo. I don't know if I'm not going to pronounce any of these correctly, by the way. I'm not European. Well, I mean, in some ways, yeah, but otherwise, no. Oviedo. And right next to Oviedo is Gijon. And you know how I remember Gijon? Because it's spelled almost exactly the same way as Dijon in France, like Dijon mustard, except it has a G. Like, how convenient for us Westerners. Like, awesome. And then we got Lyon right next to that. And then we got Salamanca. Salamanca right south of that. Very nice name. Like, I remember that, of course, because I'm a fucking Zoomer. I remember that because of the Salamancas and Breaking Bad, right? Then we got Madrid, Toledo, right south of that, just south of that. We got Seville. We're doing Al-Andalus right now. We got Cadiz. Remember, I'm not pronouncing any of these correctly. Cadiz, and then we got Gibraltar. I know that's British, but it's right there, right? Now, I forgot what, like, the southernmost point in Spain was called, unfortunately. But we got Seville, Cadiz. I'm way better with France, so that's why. And then we got some other cities on the southern coast. Very interesting. Malaga, Cartagena. I know that's a bit more northeast, but then we got Cordoba. All the nice architecture in Cordoba, or Cordoba. Then we got another very interesting place, Granada, where the Moors made their last stand. Very cool. It shares its name with an island in the Caribbean. I can't remember if they're connected or not. It'd be cool if they were. Cartagena, Valencia, not Valencia. Yeah, Malaga. I might be worse with Spain than I thought. But now let's go to Basque country with beautiful Bilbao. Beautiful Bilbao. Guernica, I remember that because of the Picasso painting. And then we got San Sebastian. Right next to that. Right next to that. Just right next to that. Smack, boom, right next to that. Then what's just south of San Sebastian and Bilbao? You know it. It's Pamplona. Classic. I remember there used to be, if anyone remembers Friv, the game Friv, if anyone remembers the Friv, there used to be this awesome game called Pamplona on it, where you had to run away from a bull in all these different European cities. It's pretty cool, pretty based. Sorry, just excuse me for 1 second. All right, I'm back to name more Spanish cities, more beautiful Spanish cities. I'm not done with the southern coast just yet. I just got to refresh my mind, my beautiful Yakubian mind. Okay, let's just get Andorra right out of the way. And I'm not going to forget any of these fucking microstates, all right? I know them. I know them by heart. I'm not going to... Even little Vaduz in Liechtenstein, I'm not going to forget that. In fact, right now, I'm just going to put Vaduz in it just to show you how much of a Liechtensteinian expert I am. All right? Huesca and Zaragoza, I remember that because of the great empire of Aragon that used to be there. Well, not really an empire, but a kingdom that owned some islands in the Mediterranean. And we can't forget the Balearic Islands. I mean, come on. Palma, big city in Mallorca. Then we got Ibiza in Ibiza or Ibiza. I refuse to use it with that lisp though. That sucks. It's Ibiza to me. And you know where that name comes from? It actually comes from the Egyptian god Bes. And you might be thinking, whoa. Egypt is on the other side of the Mediterranean. But guess what? It was named that by the Phoenicians. And you know why the Phoenicians would name it that? Because the Phoenicians were heavily inspired by the Egyptians because they came from the Levant. They used to be vassals to them. They loved Egyptian culture. So guess what? They named Ibiza in Spain after Bes. Isn't that crazy? Then we got some other cities in Menorca. For the longest time, I had no idea what the hell was on Menorca. Could be aliens. But then I learned that it has two very important cities on it. Ciutadella and Mahon, which is also just called Mao, like Chairman Mao. I don't know. I haven't tested if that works yet, though. So we got some cities. So we've forgotten some major cities in Spain. I know there's some to fill the gaps here. What names am I forgetting? Malaga? No, I got Malaga. Some southern cities like that, you know? Salamanca. I got Salamanca. I got Cadiz. I got Seville. I got all these cities. But what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I think I forgot some. And that's a shame. Guess what? We're gonna move on to Italy. Italy. And well, first actually we're gonna do a little part of France. We're going to do the great island of Corsica. Love Corsica. Beautiful. I fully support Corsican independence from France. We got beautiful cities there like Bonifacio and Bastia. Who can forget Bastia? And then we got beautiful little Ajaccio. Ajaccio. Beautiful. Beautiful. Then we got Sardinia. Beautiful. Has Cagliari on it. And then also Olbia. Now, you know how I remember Olbia? Because it happened to be the name of an ancient Greek city on the Black Sea coast. And guess what? It was famous for making coins that looked like dolphins. And that's how I remember Olbia in Sardinia. Okay, now let's go to classic Sicily. Beautiful island. First, we got to start with Palermo. Palermo, famous for its famous catacombs with monks' mummies in it. And then right south of Palermo, there actually happens to be a city called Corleone, like from the Godfather films. Corleone is an actual town in Italy. 10,000 people. It's not a small little village. It's a town. 10,000 people. Isn't that crazy? Then we got some ancient names. Agrigento, like Agrigentum, site of Agrigentum. Then we got Syracuse. Can't forget Syracuse. Who would forget Syracuse? Beautiful, beautiful city. Beautiful city. Very important. Then we got Catania. Then we got Messina. Messina. And then right across from Messina is Reggio di Calabria. But guess what? If you just put in Reggio, it names another city in the north of Italy called just Reggio nell'Emilia. Very beautiful. Okay. Now let's go up. Let's go up the boot. Let's go up the heel. Let's go to the stiletto. Okay? And of course, this is the Strait of Otranto. So guess what? Otranto. We also got Tarentum in the little arch. Then we got Bari, of course, Byzantine stronghold, very important. Bari, well, no longer a Byzantine stronghold today, of course, but used to be one of the last Byzantine possessions in Italy. Otranto, Rimini, can't forget Rimini, but that's up there. I confused that with Brindisi, ancient Brindisium, very important, where the Romans would go to Albania from. And don't worry, I know a bunch of Albanian cities. Now, unfortunately, this little bit of Italy is, I think this Campania? I'm not very good with that, other than Reggio di Calabria. So let's go up the boot a little bit to the Bay of Naples, and let's just call it Napoli. And guess what? It has a bunch of interesting suburbs. One literally just called Pompeii. Then we got Pozzuoli. I remember that because the ancient city of, what's it called again? A little ancient town is right off the coast. It's sunken off the coast. Called Pozzuoli. And then we got some other places like Urbino. I know that's pretty far up north, but let's just continue. My mind works in strange ways. Don't worry, we're gonna get to 500. Do not worry. I'm pretty good with Italy. Okay, we got Urbino, famous for its little duchy. Rimini, Ravenna, beautiful Byzantine buildings in Ravenna. Everyone knows that. And then let's go up the coast. Let's go Latina, real city there. Unfortunately, even though I think Ostia is still a real city, if you type in Ostia, it doesn't work. Let's just get Roma in there. Beautiful Roma. Tivoli, where Hadrian had his gay sex parties, just outside of Italy. Just outside of Rome, sorry. Tivoli. And then we got Villanova, famous for naming an entire culture. Just right, little suburb of Rome. Florence. Now let's get into... I'm better with northern Italy because there's just... Oh, how could I forget Capua? Just outside of Naples. And there's an interesting city there's an interesting story about Capua. It was 423 BC, and the region of Capua was ruled by I think Etruscans. And then these, I think, Samnites came in, and the Etruscans were like, hey, you can share the resources of this city. And the Samnites were like, thanks. But then all the Etruscans got, completely blitzed at a party, at a festival. And while they were sleeping it off, this is according to Livy, by the way, I'm getting this straight from Livy. When they were sleeping that off, the Samnites came in, and they murdered them all, and then they renamed the city to Capua. And that's how Capua came to be. And now it's a tiny little quaint town in Italy. And that's the story. Okay, let's start with the real meat. I love southern Italy, I really do. But let's start with the real urban meat in northern Italy. Let's start with Turin. Beautiful city. Amazing city. We got the Museo Egizio in there. We got a whole Egyptian temple in the middle of Turin. Isn't that crazy? It was donated to Turin by Egypt. I'm actually making a video about it right now, which you'll hopefully see. And then right south of Turin, we got San Remo. San Remo. This is the closest city to the French Riviera. And it's actually where the last Ottoman Sultan happened to spend his last days. Isn't that interesting? Only 2 watchers. Jesus Christ. Come on, people. Come on. 2 watchers. Let's see if we can bump those numbers. Well, let's see what the chat is saying. Who named these cities? Remember, if you tell me anything about cities, I won't be able to put it down. So, all right. Let's see if we can wrangle a few more people. A few more people. Few more people. Let's see if we can wrangle a few more people. Let's just wrangle in a few more people. Let's just wrangle them in. Let's go to Thurseat's server. He's a great guy. Great guy, by the way. Beautiful guy. Beautiful man. Let's just share the stream. Let's just do that for a sec. Let's share the stream. How do we do that? I guess, go here. I'll be quiet. And let's share the stream in his beautiful server, by the way. Thank you so much for allowing me to share my content here. Okay. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter if it gets that many views right now. I just like having a chat. It's very interesting having a chat. Right? Very interesting. Right? I don't know why I sound like Donald Trump, but I just do. That's how it is. That's how I do it, and that's what happens, That's just okay. So it looks pretty good. Spain looks pretty filled up right now, but let's really fill up northern Italy. I love filling up places on the map, right? So let's go. What's east of San Remo? We of course have the great city of Genoa, right, where Chris Columbus is from. The director who made the Harry Potter movies, obviously, the real Chris Columbus. And then we got Milan, beautiful Milan, used to be Roman Mediolanum, very interesting. Milan, and then we got, just northeast of that, we got Como, like Lake Como. See, we're getting very close to Switzerland. And then what else? We got Pisa. How could we forget Pisa? Beautiful. Ligorno, or Ligorno. Is it Ligurno? No. Livorno, Livorno. Beautiful Livorno. Perugia, of course, Perugia. We got to remember Perugia. Oh, and Norni. Norni. This is a little hilltop village. Well, I guess that's 5,000 people. Just northeast of Rome, and it's where the emperor, Nerva was born, I think. But it's also better known because it happens to be the namesake of the Chronicles of Narnia. The guy who wrote it, the famous Christian author, he was just looking at a map of the ancient world, and he saw this little place called Narnia, and he was like, damn, that's a pretty cool name. And then he made that a part of the book. What a crazy guy. What a crazy guy. Okay, now let's go to northeastern Italy. Venice, we can't forget. Trieste, beautiful Trieste. The Italians have gone through a lot to maintain Trieste. And then we can't forget Mantua, and then Padua. Nor can we forget beautiful little Verona, where Romeo and Juliet is set by Shakespeare. What else? We're forgetting some cities here. I know it. We're forgetting a few cities here. Villa Santa. I know that's a little town. Villa Santa. And then what's their big city here? There was a big city here. There was a big city right slam bam here. Here in this very spot with my cursor. But you can't help me out with this. I got to think about this. I got to think hard about this. I got to think very hard about this. What is this? Where does this go? Where does this go? Is it... I am forgetting. Oh, we forgot San Marino and Vatican City. I know they're little microstates, but they're surrounded by Italy, so you got to get those. Reggio Emilia. There's a town here, a very important town here. I'm forgetting it right now as it happens. But we got some big cities. Now let's move on to... I'm saving England, France... Well, I'm saving the UK, France, and Germany for the end because I've practiced the most with these guys. Let's just cover Switzerland. I'm not too good with Switzerland. Has confusing names. Guess what? Zurich, Bern, we got them. Geneva, we got them. Then we got Neuchâtel. We got him. And then we got Lucerne. We got him. Right? And I think those are all the cities I know in Sweden. Not fucking Sweden. Switzerland. Now should we go on to Austria? I have been practicing with Austria. Let's just get Ireland out of the way. It's before we did the Iberian Peninsula first because it's the westernmost, right? So let's just get Ireland out of the way. I love Ireland. I'm from Ireland. Might even visit it over the summer. Who knows? Okay, let's start off with the most iconic city, Dublin's, and then its suburbs. One happens to be called Swords. Another is called Kells, like the Book of Kells, right? And then let's go a bit along here. We got Wexford. We got Waterford. We have Cork, very famous. We got Cobb, which is like the port of Cork, I think. See, it's right there. Little Cobb, little beautiful Cobb, like corn on the cob. And then we go over here. We got the Dingle Peninsula. What a beautiful name. Then we got Limerick. Then we get Kilkenny. I don't know why they called that. They must have killed a guy called Kenny to name it. And then, of course, we got Blarney. Remember, it's not just a stone or a castle. It's an actual place right outside of Cork called Blarney. Then we got Galway. Beautiful little Galway. We got Sligo. We got Donegal. Should we get Northern Ireland out of the way? Nah, I think we're going to wait for that. We're just going to wait a little bit for that, a little bit. So we've passed 100 cities, but don't worry, there's so much more left. I'm positive we're going to get to 500 by the end of this stream. Let's see what the chat says. Named Mediolanum. There's a century-old soccer team named Mediolanum from Milan. Do you know about the lion sculpture from Lucerne? No, I do not. What is that? That's very interesting. Okay. Thank you for commenting, Voivod. Very interesting name. Let's go to Austria. Beautiful, mountainous Austria. Now, everyone knows Vienna, or Wien, as they call it, or wine. I don't know how they pronounce it. I'm terrible with pronunciation. I just know the names. Graz and Linz. I think Hitler was from Linz, right? Or a suburb of Linz. We got Wells. There's a Wells in England, too. But there's a Wells in Austria, too. And there's a Freistadt. But guess what? If you enter Freistadt, what comes first? The Freistadt near Linz? No, the Freistadt in Czechia. So you have to specify the Freistadt in Austria. Freistadt, Austria, like that. Then you get Salzburg. Beautiful Salzburg. Has very important history as, you know, where I think this is near where the first Celts came around. Like the Hallstatt guys. They had their mines near Salzburg, right? Then we got Innsbruck in the Tyrol region. This is the Tyrol, right? Let's just get, while we're talking about the Alps, let's just get Konstanz in there. Should we enter the Balkans? Should we enter into the mess that is the Balkans? Should we do these areas first? You know what? I love the Balkans, so let's just get into it. First up, Slovenia. And now everyone knows their beautiful capital, Ljubljana, which is spelled Ljubljana. And then we also have some smaller cities, but the other two biggest cities in Slovenia are Kranj and Maribor. Maribor has almost 100,000 people, but Kranj only has 36,000. And then there's another much smaller town that I know called Novo Mesto with 23,000 people in Slovenia. And Slovenia is pretty small, so you can't expect them to have too many people, right? But now let's go on to its slightly bigger neighbor, Croatia. Beautiful Croatia. We got Split, where Diocletian had his palace. We got Kraj, which I discovered while I was testing out Kranj. We got Zagreb. Of course, you can't forget Zagreb. It's right here in the top bit. And then we also got another city that a lot of people forget, called Sisak, the ancient Siskia. Now, I actually happen to own an ancient Roman coin minted in Siskia. So I have a little bit of connection with it. A little bit of a connection with it, I guess. Also, I think I heard there was the site of some massacres during the Balkan Wars, unfortunately. Then we got Dubrovnik, obviously. Then we got Bosnia, poor little Bosnia. It's been through a lot. We have Sarajevo, of course. Everyone knows Sarajevo. Pretty big city. Then we got Banja Luka. That's the second biggest city in Bosnia. Has a pretty good population, nearly 250,000 people. Now let's go down the Balkans, down the Adriatic. Let's go to Montenegro. Unfortunately, I only know two cities in Montenegro. Its capital, Podgorica, and then we got the little city of Kotor, in the Bay of Kotor, with only 5,000 people. Now we got, let's cover Serbia and Kosovo. Of course, the only city I know in Kosovo is its capital, Pristina. But I do know some more cities in Serbia. Now, I used to be only able to name Belgrade, but now I know Novi Sad. I know Nice. Its second and third biggest cities, respectively. Nice is a little bit bigger than Novi Sad. But I also know a few more, like Kakak, and Kraljevo. It's easy to remember because it's like Sarajevo, but it's Kraljevo instead of Sarah. And now let's move on to Hungary. I used to only know Budapest too, but now I can name some more cities like Miskolc and Pécs. Very nice name. Pécs, Győr, Miskolc, Debrecen. Wonderful cities in Hungary. I love Hungary. there's this channel on YouTube, and it has like hundreds of different animations. I think from when Hungary was still communist, of all these different Hungarian fairy tales, and it's just mesmerizing. Yeah, let's check out the stream is doing. How many people are tuning in? Probably like, 5. Cool. All right. 5 people. Hello there. So let's move down into one of my favorite countries in the world, Albania. I love Albania. Of course, we got Elbasan. We got Tirana. We got, Velez is actually a city in Macedonia, and I know that because of my research on the Paeonians. It's an important site for the Paeonian culture. But Tirana, Elbasan, Korsh, we got Shkodër, of course. Shkodër, Leje, course, and there's one down here. There's a big city right here that I think I'm forgetting the name of. Leje, Shkodër, Korsh. Shkodër. What was its name? Let's just move on to North Macedonia. Skopje and Ohrid, near Lake Ohrid. Very nice. Now let's move on to Greece. Now, Greece is pretty easy because there are a bunch of cities that are just named after the islands they're on. So like Kos and Naxos and Samothraki up here. Then we even got Chios, and we got Rhodes, which is better known as Rhodos, I guess. And then the only city I know on Crete is Heraklion, which of course that derives from an ancient city name, right? But on Lesbos, since it's a pretty big island in its own right, it doesn't have a Lesbos, but it does have the ancient city of Mytilene. And now let's move on to its biggest cities: Athens, Piraeus, the port of Athens, the ancient port of Athens. Then we got Patras, which is, I think, the third biggest city in Greece, 168,000 people. Then we got Larissa. Then we got, of course, the second city of Greece and the second city of the Byzantine Empire, Thessalonica. Who could forget that? And next to it, city of Thermi, Vergina, where Philip the First is buried, of course, and Philippi, I think, is that not a city anymore? Yeah. So the capital of, what was the capital of the Macedonians? Because I know that's still I know Vergina is their burial ground, but they had another city, or their capital was, it's still actually a city in Greece. I forget. Vergina's good enough. Okay, let's go to the Peloponnese. Pylos, beautiful. We got Sparti, the continuation of ancient Sparta, sort of. Then we got Corinth and Argos. And, of course, let's move over to Thessaly with Thebes. And Ioannina, which the Albanians sort of want. Yeah, I can't really name any here, unfortunately. I think that's it for Greece. Let's go over to Eastern Thrace, owned by Turkey. And there is no Gallipoli in Gallipoli, but there does happen to be a Gallipoli in Italy. Look at that. But I do know some cities in Eastern Thrace. Like, of course, Constantinople. You'll think, oh, well, you can't call it Constantinople. It's Istanbul, and cityquiz.io definitely will not register Constantinople, because that's its old name. Guess what? Constantinople. You can type in Constantinople here, and it'll put in Istanbul. There's another interesting city called Heraclea, on the outskirts of Istanbul. I have another ancient coin from Heraclea. And then there's another interesting city Adrianople, or Edirne, very important in Roman and Ottoman history. And another city that I chanced upon in Eastern Thrace is named after another early Byzantine. Well, Adrianople was Hadrian, of course, but there's another city named after a late Roman emperor here. Was it called Arcadiopolis, I think. And if you type in Arcadiopolis, it comes in with the modern version of that ancient city. Named after, of course, the early Byzantine Emperor Arcadius. Now let's go on to Bulgaria, with the ancient city of Plovdiv, one of the most ancient cities on Earth, I've heard, with tons of different names over the eons. We got Varna, famous for producing lots of ancient golden burials, prehistoric golden burials. And then of course we got the capital, Sofia, in the western part of the country. Let's go on to Romania. I don't know too many cities in Romania. In fact, I think I only know 3. Some of the biggest: Constanta, I don't know how you pronounce that. Maybe Constanza. If you type in Costanza, like George Costanza from Seinfeld, it'll fill that in. Timișoara, big city. I think the second biggest city after Bucharest. So I only know 3 cities: Bucharest, Timișoara, and Constanta. It's probably pronounced completely differently from that, but whatever. I do know 2 cities in Moldova, though. Chisinau, which is the capital of the whole thing, and then the little breakaway state of Transnistria has its own little capital called Bender, like Bender the robot from Futurama. Let's check on the stream. 4 watching. Okay. All right. Then we got Ukraine. Let's name some cities in Ukraine: Odessa, Kiev, Dnipro, Crimea. Let's go to Sevastopol, and who can forget Balaclava? Sounds exactly like my favorite Eastern European snack. Then we got Cherson. There used to be an ancient Cherson in the Crimea, but there's a modern, bigger city of Cherson in like mainland Ukraine. Then we got Bakhmut, famous for the recent battle, and of course we have little Donetsk. Well, not little Donetsk. It's a large city, almost 1 million people. Just pardon me one moment. Nope, I'm good. Now, while we're in the area, let's move on to southern Russia. We got Sochi, of course. We got Vladikavkaz. I recently learned about on the border with Georgia. And then right next to that, we got the capital of Chechnya, which is... What was the capital of Chechnya called? Of course, Grozny. We got Astrakhan on the... which I think used to be the capital of a Khanate, and it's on the coast of the Caspian, of course. Astrakhan. And then, of course, who can forget Moscow, St. Petersburg, standard stuff. But there are some very big cities in Russia that few people know about. Murmansk, very far north. Then we got Ufa, near the Far East. We got Ryazan and Kazan. We got Vladimir, these 2 little suburbs of Moscow. We got Smolensk, right on the border with Belarus. And we also can't forget Novgorod, the ancient city. Now let's head into the let's head into the Baltics. Unfortunately, I only know their capitals. Vilnius, we got Riga in Latvia, then we got Tallinn, Estonia. These capitals bugged me for the longest time. They were very difficult to memorize, but somehow it just clicked one day. Then we got Finland. I know 3 cities in Finland: Helsinki, Turku, and Oulu. Bit further north. Then let's just move on to the rest of Scandinavia. Unfortunately, I don't know too much about Scandinavia. We got, well, of course, Finland is part of Scandinavia. I didn't mean to start it with Sweden. They're all, of course, Scandinavian. Stockholm, obviously. We got little Malmo next to Copenhagen. And we got Gothenburg. And I also recently learned that there's a Lima in Sweden, a little tiny town called Lima, like Lima, Peru. Now let's move on to Norway with its many fjords. Bergen. We got Trondheim. Then the best known one, of course, being Oslo. Now let's move on to Denmark. Denmark's pretty fun. We got Copenhagen. We got Roskilde, just outside of it. Some important archaeological discoveries made there, including, just because this is an ancient Egypt-themed channel, one of the most out-of-place artifacts ever found was found near Roskilde in a burial mound from the Bronze Age. It was a little tiny blue bead that had come all the way from Egypt to Denmark. Along what's known as the Amber Road, from the Baltic through Italy down into Mycenaean Greece and into the Near East here. Very interesting. Then we got Odense right here, and there happens to be a town called Middelfart that's between Odense and Jutland. Middelfart right here. Then we got the furthest north place, the northernmost place in Denmark, called Skagen. This little town here on a tiny little peninsula. It almost looks like it's an island, but no. Skagen. And just south of that, we got Aalborg. And unfortunately, that's all I know about Denmark. I used to be able to name a few more cities, but let's just leave it at that. So, for Belarus, we only have Minsk and Brest, as I told you before, like the Brest in France, and those are the only 2 cities I know about. But Brest is huge, 300,000 people. Wow. Now let's go into Poland. Unfortunately, I don't have as many Polish cities as I should. Wrocław used to be known as Breslau, and Warsaw, and Krakow, and Poznan. Those are the only ones I know. Let's move on to Czechia and Slovakia. Czechia, I know a few more. Prague. Then we got Most. Then we got Brno, the second most populous city. Ostrava, third most populous city. We got, where's some other cities? We got Most. I remember that because it's just an English word, Most. Liberec sounds like liberty. And yeah, let's move on to Slovakia. We got Bratislava, and we got a few more cities I know about. Martin, and obviously it's just a name, Martin. And one more, Nitra, because it sounds like nitro. Fairly big cities. And then let's go on to the Low Countries before we get into the real meat. And the real meat is England, France. What the fuck? Wait, why did you do that? Dude, you're not supposed to interfere. Okay, so we're going to strike Kozalin from this. So in the final tally, I'm just going to X it out, X one city out. because that's cheating. That's cheating. That is not how I play. Um, let's get into the Low Countries. Now, I've had some beef with the Dutch recently over a museum exhibition in the Rijksmuseum van Oudheden in Leiden. So I know Leiden. We know Rotterdam. And of course, who can forget Amsterdam? Beautiful Amsterdam. And another city I know is Nijmegen, because some beautiful ancient Roman cavalry masks were found there. If you ever search up the Nijmegen masks, you'll find these beautiful works of ancient art from Nijmegen. Very important border town in the Roman Empire. Then let's go to Belgium. Well, actually, no. Before we leave the Netherlands, we got Barl Nassau. We got Nassau in Rhineland, and we also have Barl Nassau along the border between Belgium and the Netherlands. Very little town, but it's obviously very famous for being a part of both the Netherlands and Belgium simultaneously, but here it's registered as the Netherlands. So, with Belgium, we got some classical cities like Antwerp, Bruges, Brussels, and we got Luxembourg City in Luxembourg, which you can just call Luxembourg. And what are some other microstates I've missed? I've missed Monaco. I'll just put Monaco down, just for safekeeping. And I think we're done with Eastern Europe right now. Oh, Kaliningrad. I forgot that. We're about to get to Central Europe, don't worry. But let's start with England. Now, I'm going to really impress you here. You're probably not impressed at all with my other countries, because I'm pretty shit at them. But England and Scotland, pretty good with. Let's start with Northern Ireland, just because I forgot to include that in the Ireland section. We got Derry. We got Bangor. Well, there are multiple Bangors in the UK. So let's do Bangor, Northern Ireland. See if that'll register. You know what? I'll just reach around with Bangor and use every country, because there's a Bangor in Wales, there's a Bangor in Northern Ireland, and there's a Bangor in France. But since I know all those already, I'll just use it there. Otherwise, it's just an any country only run. But otherwise, if I hadn't done the every country route, I wouldn't have been able to name the Bangor in Northern Ireland. So, not cheating, I swear. Obviously, we've done Dublin already. I was having a brain fart. I was thinking of Belfast. And I know there are some major cities right in this little patch of coast here, but right now they're slipping from my mind. Well, there's Ulster. Is that a city or is that a region? That's a region. There's Armagh. Oh yes, Armagh. Yes, that's the city I was thinking of. Or rather, town. Only 14,000 people, but used to be a religious capital in Ireland before the damn Brits came. Never mind. Inverness. Let's start with Scotland. Elgin, Aberdeen. What?
You have someone said you had echo.
Echo?
You gotta fix it.
I don't have echo. It's fine. I don't have echo.
No, they told you have echo, and I can kind of hear it.
What do you mean?
You have echo through your microphone.
Why? Why is that happening?
You could try to fix it.
Shit.
Like.
Well, why is there echo?
Sure, we're gonna do that. I don't know why that's there. Maybe. Oh my god, bro, the chat's pissing me off actually. Let me turn that off. Alright, now talk.
Okay, go to your room.
I'm trying to listen.
La la la.
I'm gonna wait for it. La la la.
Oh yeah, this is a bit of a delay, right?
No, that's all I got.
Oh, that's fine. It's just my first stream. Probably won't do anything like this again. Let's refresh. How many people are on? 8 watching. Wow, that's crazy. That's insane. You know, let me tell you, folks. It's a. Never mind. Okay, let's go to southern Scotland. Actually, there's some interesting cities here. There's the city of not Bray here, little tiny town here, and there's Orkney in the Orkney Islands. Very convenient name, right? We got Dundee, we got Glasgow, and we got Edinburgh, pardon me. Dumfries. Carlisle is in northern England, but let's just go into northern England now. But we can't forget the iconic city of Douglas on the island of Man. 20,000 people, 26,000 people. We can forget Eyemouth in southern Scotland too. Eyemouth, and now let's move on to northern England for sure. Durham, we got York, we got on the other coast.
Was that tab on your live? No.
No.
Safari, Google.
No, I'm not.
It's just you can kind of see it. There's a little bit of an echo.
That's fine, okay. Right, sorry for the echo, folks. Let's continue on to England. We have Liverpool, Blackpool. Then we just got Poole in southern England. Then we got a little place called Flint, like Flint, Michigan, in northern Wales, right next to these guys. And we got Hull, we got Leeds, and we got Sheffield, Nottingham, all these big cities in northern England. We got, and this is one of my favorite parts, Wakefield. There are tons of fields in England. There's Wakefield, there's Manfield, there's Chesterfield, there's Chester, there's Lichfield, and before we forget it, there's a Lich in Germany too. So we're at 285 cities right now. Do you think we can get to 500? I still think so. I can name 100 in France at least. But we're definitely not done with England. This is a very tiny part of England. There are multiple Kingstons, of course, but Kingston. Let's go from Land's End onwards, from here on out. So we got Penzance, like from the Pirates and Penzance and Cornwall, St. Ives, and even beyond Cornwall, we have the little often forgotten Isles of Scilly, and their capital is St. Mary's. Now, going further inland in Cornwall, we got Exeter, we got Exmouth and Sport. Then we cannot forget Plymouth in between them. Nor can we forget Kingsbridge, which is right there. We got, moving further east, we got Portland. Oh, we also have Shard and Frome, which is famously pronounced from instead of Frome, but I don't care. We got Bath. Then we got Bristol, of course. And now let's move into southern Wales, because this is where most of the Welsh population lives, right along here. We got, obviously, Cardiff and Swansea off the bat. We also have Bridgend, and we have St. David's, and we have Cardigan, and going north, near Bangor, we have Carnarvon, where the famous castle is, and we got Holyhead, which is where the ferries go to Ireland from. We also have Knighton, a little quaint town, must be named after knights, I guess. That's like a... It's such a lazy name that you just expect to find it within like an RPG or something, right? But no, it's a real place. Welsh Pool. Not lazy, but stereotypically fantasy, right? Let's check how the stream is doing. 6 watching. Okay. Now let's move into the meat of England. Let's move into... we got the real big cities in southern England. We got Portsmouth. We got Southampton. We got Chichester with its cathedral. And we got Winchester with its cathedral. Then we got, moving east, we have Hastings, of course, famous for the battle. We have Brighton, famous for the palace. We have, and then there's some clusters of important places here. We have Canterbury itself, center of Anglicanism. Then there's a Dunkirk in the UK, believe it or not, and this is also where Sandwich is. Sandwich is a real place in England. Can you believe that? We have another, Dover. Dover is, of course, also here. We got Colchester, ancient Campbell of Dunham, where the Romans ruled Britannia from. Colchester. Next to that, we have Ipswich. And there's some small towns I know here. Woolpit, which is on the road to Bury St. Edmunds, with one of the most unique names in Europe. That has to be so. Then we got Norwich. Then let's move around to London and its suburbs. We got London. We got St. Albans. We got Luton. Reading, we got Windsor, where Windsor Palace is, or Windsor Castle, where the royals live, of course. You got Marlborough, where Churchill lived, where he was born, rather. This is also where Kingston was, Kingston upon Thames, at least. Thames, rather. Milton Keynes is also near here. That's a major city. Did I get that right? Milton Keynes. Yeah, I did get it. I guess I just didn't show up. Let's go along the Welsh border with Shrewsbury, Tewkesbury, Warwick, Cambridge, Oxford. You just got to get those university cities out of the way. Tewkesbury. Oh, we also have Wolverhampton. Then we got North. You know how there is a Southampton? There's also a Northampton and a Hampton. We also have Derby, like horse derby and rugby. And we got some other major cities in England, like Birmingham, Manchester. I can't forget those. You see, there's like a line of cities in the middle of the country. Isn't that interesting? What other cities am I forgetting? I know there are a few I'm forgetting. Oh, there's Peterborough. There is Bedford, Stratford, where Shakespeare is from. Stratford, Bedford, Telford, I think. Yeah. We got some nice cities. I know I'm forgetting some. Of course, I'm always forgetting some. But I think we got a good number in England and Wales and Scotland, don't you think? Of course, mainly clustered down here. I'm probably forgetting some, but I'll probably remember them eventually. we're now at 345 cities, so well on our way to 500. I've already proven that I can get 500. I have done that already, so I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to replicate that here. Now let's move on to Germany. I've been practicing in Germany pretty routinely, and then let's go on to my ironically my best country, which is France. Now let's stay with Germany for the meantime. So let's start with Papenburg. It has a very fun name, Papenburg. Then we got Bamberg. Bamberg, or is it Bamberg? There's a Bamberg. Never mind, false start. I think there's a Bamberg in the UK, though. Yeah, a Bamberg here. Now, is there also... Is Sutton Hoo a city? I haven't tested that out yet. No. Okay, let's really start with Germany. So let's start with Baden-Württemberg. Now, there is a Baden-Baden, but there isn't any Württemberg. I've tried to find it so many times, but there is no Württemberg. I don't know why they called it Baden-Württemberg, but that's just the name of this southwestern part of Germany. Also famous, of course, for having Ingolstadt. Or, no, that's Munich. No, I mean Bavaria. I'm thinking of Stuttgart, I think. Yeah, Stuttgart. It also has, I think, Tübingen and Heilbronn. Tricky spellings. Then we got Heidelberg. Of course, since I'm a Zoomer, I associate that with like Heisenberg from what was it called? Breaking Bad. How could I forget? Heisenberg. Then we got Ludwigshafen. That's easy to remember because it has a name in it. We already got Konstanz. Now let's move on to Munich. We of course have Augsburg. We got, I don't know if, yeah, we got Nuremberg. And no, I don't mean Munich, I mean Bavaria. Let's just put down Munich. Then we got, another way I remember some of the cities down here is, you know how Victoria's last name was Saxe-Coburg und Gotha? And that was the name of the British Royals for a while? Well, there is no Saxe, but there is a Coburg, and there's also a Gotha. And the Coburg is in the furthest northern reaches of Bavaria, or what's considered Bavaria. And let's move a bit further north with Erfurt. In Thuringia, there are some very interesting names in Thuringia. Gera, Jena, Erfurt, Gotha. I guess they like very short names in Thuringia. Let's move a bit east to Leipzig and to Dresden. And of course, who could forget Wurzburg or Chemnitz? These are names I had a bit of a trouble. These are names I couldn't remember for the darndest while, but now I know them. Now let's go to Brandenburg with Berlin. Who could forget Berlin? Its famous suburb, Potsdam, where all the Allies came together for the Potsdam, conference or treaty. Now let's move. Oh, they also have a city just called Brandenburg, outside of Berlin. And there's also a new Brandenburg in the next state, the northeasternmost state, which is, of course, Mecklenburg-Vorpommern. Sorry, it looks like an M. There is no Vorpommern, but there is a Mecklenburg. I found out. But of course, the biggest city in this state, I believe, is Rostock, the port. And there actually happens to be a little Strasbourg here. There is a Strasbourg. Strasbourg. I think there was a Strasbourg here. Oh no, it just got Strasbourg in France, but there is a little Strasbourg here. Strasbourg, Germany. See? Little Strasbourg, right on the Polish border. Now let's move on to Schleswig-Holstein. There is a Schleswig, but there is no Holstein. That's just the name of a region. And then, of course, we got Kiel. We got Lübeck, or Lübeck, I don't know. Then we got Flensburg. Flensburg is famous for being the last holdout of the Nazis, ironically, even though it's basically Denmark. And that reminds me of Freiburg in southwestern Germany. And over here on the northern coast of Germany, we have some cool cities, both named Haven, Wilhelmshaven and Bremerhaven. And that reminds us that Bremen is right here. And we got Hamburg, we got Hanover, lots of H's here. And we have the little town of Hamelin, you know, from that fairy tale, the Pied Piper of Hamelin. It's right here. And we haven't even touched upon the huge metro areas in the Rhineland yet. So, like around Frankfurt, we got Frankfurt itself, of course, and then we also have Darmstadt, and then we have, what was it called? It wasn't Würzburg. It was Wiesbaden. Yes, Wiesbaden. And then if you go around Cologne, you'll have big cities like Dortmund and Dusseldorf and Duisburg and there's also Mainz, which is near Frankfurt, and that's the ancient, I think that's the ancient Roman city of Mogontiacum. We got some ancient cities here, like Trier, a very important Roman outpost. Lots of surviving Roman buildings in it, by the way, very interesting. Like the Hall of Constantine, the Basilica of Constantine. And we also have Aachen, where Charlemagne had his capital, right here. And is that it for Germany? I don't think so. I think they're... Oh, we have the cities that sound like they're just things in English, like Ham and Castle and Bonn, which sounds like the French word for happy, Bonn. We have Essen. We have Hall, also known as Saal. And yeah, that's a lot of cities in Germany. How long have we been on Germany for? Still tons I'm forgetting. But that's just the nature of human memory, right? Oh, I forgot Magdeburg, Regensburg, and Oldenburg. I forgot the Bergs. Magdeburg. We got Regensburg. And we got Oldenburg. I wonder how old Oldenburg really is. Now let's go on to our piece de resistance, and that will be France. Should we start with northern France or southern France? I think we should try starting with southern France. Let's start with southern France. Now, the closest city to Italy in southern France on the French Riviera itself is Menton, like the French word for sheep, which is mouton, right? I think. I don't know. I'm not too good with French. Then, of course, we got Nice near Monaco and Menton. And we have Cannes, like from the Cannes Film Festival. I've had the pleasure of visiting Cannes myself. It's very interesting. Or Caen, rather, like the Caen in Normandy. And we also have some other interestingly named cities in southeastern France, like Grasse and Gap. But we can't forget some of the smaller cities here, like Saint-Raphael and I think Saint-Laurent, is it called? There's a St. Lawrence around here. Saint Laurent. Yeah, right there. Then let's move on to Toulon, site of a very famous siege during Napoleon's early career. His actions in Toulon basically paved the way to him becoming consul and then emperor. It's a very interesting battle against the British, who were trying to destroy the French fleet here in the wars right after the French Revolution. But we also have the much bigger city of Marseille next to it. And of course we have Aix-en-Provence. I don't know how to exactly pronounce that. Aix-en-Provence, which was a very important Roman city just north of Marseille. We also got Nimes with its famous Roman amphitheater, and Arles, which was an important Roman city as well. And then let's move on. These are all like important Roman cities, right? We got Narbonne. Let's go across the bay. We also have Montpellier, important city. We got Narbonne. We got Perpignan. And then right on the Spanish border, we got this place called Elm, a little tiny town of 7,000 people. Now, Elm has a very interesting backstory. It's named after Saint Helena, the mother of Constantine the Great. And it has a very interesting story surrounding it. So Constans, the son of Constantine, ruled the western part of the Roman Empire after his father died, but he was killed by his own men because he grew too close in a romantic way to his Germanic bodyguards. So they killed him, but not before he had fled to the city of Elm. And he was murdered in Elm after fleeing from his original capital. And that satisfied a prophecy about how he would die in the arms of his grandmother. Because he sort of did. He died in a city named after his grandmother. So the prophecy was sort of fulfilled in a way, right? Then next in Narbonne, we got more inland. We got the famous fortified city of Carcassonne. And we also have, that also leads to Toulouse, of course. And we got some interesting cities starting with A here. Albi, like Alba Longa, and Agen. And then let's go on to Aquitaine, very fascinating province. Let's start with the Spanish border. We got Saint-Jean-de-Luz, right on the Spanish border, right next to San Sebastian. And a bit further north, just a bit further north on the coast, we have Bayonne, and we have Biarritz, and we have Cap Breton. And then moving further north, of course, we have Bordeaux, but we can't forget the prefectural capital, Pau, which is a very interesting name for a French city, right? Pau, it's just sort of odd, isn't it? Then we got La Rochelle and Rochefort, just south of it. I guess they really like roches here. I guess that must be French for rock, right? So we also have Condom here. The city of Condom is also famously here. And while we're on naughty names, there's also Bitch in northeastern France, and there's also a penis stone in England, along with a maidstone. And going back to western France, we can't forget Saint-Nazaire, site of a very famous raid during World War II. Saint-Nazaire, I think that's at the entrance to one of the big rivers in France. Is it the Loire, I guess? Then let's just move on to Brittany. I like Brittany. I can name some cities there. Rennes, I don't know. Then we got Saint-Malo, right on the border with it, and Normandy over here, the Cherbourg Peninsula. Moving further west, we of course have Brest, France, not to be confused with Brest in Brest in Belarus. And in Brittany, we have also Lorient and Vannes and Quimper and the site of Karnak. No, not to be confused with the temple in Egypt. Karnak, which also has a bunch of ancient treasures in it, the ancient standing stones of Karnak. And I think those are pretty much all the cities in Brittany I can name. Let's move on to this part of France, central southern France. We got Clermont, we have Avignon, we have Vichy, as in Vichy, France. We got Besançon, we got Villeurbanne, we got Dijon and Limoges, and Lyon, of course, the most famous one, ancient Lugdunum. And just because Limoges reminds me of limousine, right? So there's also a Cadillac in Aquitaine and a sedan in northeastern France. And so did I get Grenoble? No, not yet. Well, now I haven't, obviously. But there's some stuff here. Oh, there's Lascaux, where the cave paintings were found. It's a very small town, but still, it registers. We have... Now let's go on to Grand Est, as they call it. We already have Strasbourg. So let's go a little bit south with Mulhouse and Colmar. And just south of that, we have Belfort. There are multiple Beauforts in France, but there's Beaufort there, and there's a Beaufort in Normandy, I'm pretty sure. Belfort, Normandy. Doesn't register, I guess it doesn't. I guess it just registers the different countries, not the different regions. But that doesn't matter. We have Nancy. We have Verdun, site of a very famous battle during World War I. Nancy. That reminds me of Nantes, on the opposite side of France, which is next to Poitiers, where a famous battle was fought during the 100 Years' War. And that reminds me of Agincourt, which there is an Agincourt in eastern France. I don't think this is where the actual Battle of Agincourt was fought, but whatever, who cares? Let's just go to Normandy. So we got Cherbourg, we got Granville, we got Bayeux with the Bayeux Tapestry. We have Caen already. There's also Rouen, and there's Le Havre, which reminds me of Le Mans. I'm butchering all these names, of course. I apologize. Plenty more cities like Nevers, and we're near 500, by the way. We're gonna get to 500. Don't worry. There's a Saint Alban here in France too. There's a Saint Etienne. I heard that Etienne was the French form of Stephen. Is that true? It's just so. Oh, also in Italy, I forgot Anzio and Ancona. I'm pretty sure. And what else? I'll look back at that later. So we have Nancy and Verdun here in Grand Est. I know there's some other cities here. Oh, yeah, there's a Lauterbourg. This is pretty obscure, but it's a city right in this little triangle that France makes that sort of cuts Germany. Lauterbourg. It's right on the German border. Very interesting. I wonder what the history of that place is like. So we got Sedan. Oh, I forgot Saarbrücken in Germany, right across from Lauterbourg. Well, not right across, but near Lauterbourg. Closer to Bitch, actually. There's also Calais, Boulogne. Oh, I forgot Bologna in Italy. Shit. Or Bologna. Boulogne, and there's, of course, Dieppe and Dunkirk. Dieppe, the site of a very famous raid made by the Canadians during World War II, and Dunkirk, of course, where the Allies had to retreat from France after the occupation. We have Chalons, of course. We have Lille and Roubaix next to it along the Dutch border. Lille. Now, fuck it, let's just go to Paris, Versailles. We have Argenteuil. We have Saint-Maurice, who is actually from Egypt, by the way. Saint-Maurice. Also, I think he's the patron of Nuremberg in Bavaria. We got plenty of Sergis in France, but this is one of them. My friend lives in a place called Saint-Quentin, but there are multiple Saint-Quentins, so I don't think this is the right one. There's one near Paris, but unless I use the every country option, I can't get it. So just south of Ile-de-France and Paris, we have Auxerre. Bourges is nearby. Orléans, 2. And next to Orléans, we had... there's a city next to Orléans I'm forgetting. Le Mans, Nantes... Amiens. And... Annecy. That's one. Amiens, Annecy, and Angers, like angry in English. That's how I remember that one. And we're nearly done with France. We have just 2 more cities left until we're at 500. So we're going to make this, hopefully. What are some cities I've forgotten? Damn, I'm not going to get stuck at 498, don't worry. We have... Did we get Avignon? I think we did. Besançon, Villeurbanne. Oh, we don't have Champagne. Champagne coming in clutch. We obviously got the big ones. What are some... What's the last city? Oh, there's Valletta in Malta. I forgot. So we're at 500. So let's see if we can name a few more. I think I'm all pooped out now, unfortunately, but I can name more than this. I think my ultimate high score with Europe is 548. So, did we get Antwerp? Yeah. Did we get... I swear, I'm missing some big city in eastern France. I know I am. We got Lille. We got Chalons. Chalons over here. I think there are other Chalons, though. Oh, I forgot. Did I forget Blois? Yes, I did. I forgot Blois. I got Villeurbanne. I got Besançon. I got Argenteuil. I got all of those. Oh, I forgot some towns in Spain, like Valladolid. I got Huesca. I didn't get Tarragona, though. That's one. In Catalonia, that's very popular. Cartagena. I swear, I'm forgetting a big one down here. But, I think that's good enough. 503. There's probably tons I forgot, but, I'm happy with what I got. And, if you want me to do another stream where I stream all the cities I can get in other parts of the world. Oh, I forgot Reykjavik. Shit. Did I forget any capitals? I don't think so, beyond Reykjavik. So we're at 504. I think that's... Oh, we've got Nicosia in Cyprus. Nicosia, and there's also Famagusta. That's another Cypriot city, I know. But beyond that, I forgot a ton in Italy and a few in Spain, a few in Portugal. But otherwise, I think I'm keeping up with my practice. Or I think I'm keeping consistent with the practice rounds I've done. What else? There's one that starts with an A that I'm forgetting in Spain. Otherwise, I think I've done pretty well. Let's hit finish and save. And, yup, it's done. Tell me how you think I did. Probably did pretty badly. But overall, I'm sure most Europeans could name more than me. But, thanks for all the chats. I think I'm going to end the stream here. How many people have we got watching right now? 3. All right, I'll end the stream right here. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. Yeah, my voice is a bit fucked up. Sorry about that. All right. Thank you. And